Okay, so this is a quick review of the Fujifilm XF23 F2. All right, so she came in this little tiny box, kind of standard Fujifilm XF23 F2.0. So funny story, I ordered this on Amazon and this actually got water damage because on a rainy day, the oh so nice delivery driver dropped this on my porch about a foot outside of where my porch is nice and covered. So thank you, Amazon. But luckily the lens was just fine. So inside we got the standard, you get your manuals, standard stuff that I'll never read. Then you got this nice little insert to make sure that it doesn't get bounced around as it's getting chucked up onto my porch. And here she is. Nice looking little thing, pretty solid. Comes with this little teeny, cute little lens hood that I kind of always laugh at when I see. It's like literally a centimeter or less, but there she is. All right, so to give you an idea of just how big this is, you can see it in my hand, but to give you a better idea, here it is beside my Viltrox 85mm with a hood. So pretty tiny and compact lens. Like this for an X series lens I would consider on the more robust side, and this is definitely one of the smaller lenses I've seen in the XF23. And here it is mounted on my XT200, just to give you an idea of what that might look like if you're thinking about using this as a discreet little everyday throw in your bag street photography lens. Great little lens. So I got this lens back in August 2022. Purchased it on Amazon for about 515 Canadian dollars. And from a price perspective, I actually think this is kind of a fair price considering what third-party prime lenses cost and considering the fact that Fuji lenses are pretty great. They're well built, they're solid, and from what I've read online, the optics are usually pretty good. So yeah, I'm gonna give you a review of this lens from my perspective as a YouTuber who's also a photographer. This is a real world review. If you want to get into the super granular technical specifications, you can Google it. This lens is 180 grams. Just kidding. So starting with street photography, I've gone out a bunch of times with this lens mounted to my Fujifilm X-H2S, and I've absolutely loved the results and loved working with the lens. Here's a shot I took of a couple walking. It was shot at f2.8. This was taken kind of near sundown, and I thought it did a pretty good job focusing in on the walkers with the biker zooming by all blurred out. Here's another shot wide open at f2 of a nice white Porsche I found. I mean, I would have loved to spend more time here with the car, getting more of it in focus, but I was kind of nervous. The owner was kind of sitting in a cafe and didn't want them to jump out at me if I was spending too much time with the car. Spoiler and bumper shots are really sharp. And I really like this lens. It does a good job blurring out the background, creating that separation. And, I wanted to point that out because I hear so many people online talking about how, you really need an f1.2 or an f1.4 or an f1.8 to blur backgrounds, but that's just not the case. You can do that with any lens, even with smaller apertures than, f2. So I just wanted to point that out because you can get really great results with a lens like this without ponying up potentially double the cost for something in like the f1.4 range. Here's a cool shot of a walkway in Toronto. This was shot at f4.5. One thing I loved about this lens coming from the XC15-45 kit lens that I was using is I didn't really notice much barrel distortion. And I know this is a 23 and that lens goes a lot wider at 15. But with the kit lens, wide shots had really bad distortion, especially visible in situations like this one where there are clear vertical lines in the shot. So yeah, for street photography, I really love taking this lens out. It was good in a bunch of different scenarios. With a crop sensor camera, it works out to be like a 35-ish focal length, which is great for, you know, walking around, getting a lot in the frame, or getting really close to, you know, certain things as you go about the city. Really great lens for street photography in my experience. And it's really good on smaller body cameras. So I also have an X-T200. A little bit more discreet. If you couple a lens like this one with that camera, it's really a pretty tight package. So I found this little guy to also be pretty great for portraits or certain photo shoots you might be doing for like family portraits, family photos, things like that. So this one was shot at f2 on my X-H2S. Really love the results. You know, photos like these, I found the biggest limitation using this lens isn't really the lens, it's just my amateur photography ability. So here's another at f2.5 that I thought came out pretty nice, you know, decent background separation considering the circumstances. And from a usability perspective, fast focusing, you know, was able to lock on even with the kids running around. I know a big part of that's the camera, but the lens did a great job. So I think it's safe to say, at least from my perspective, I think this is a solid lens for taking photos. For the price, like around 500 Canadian dollars, you get a solid lens. It's compact, it's weather resistant. It's just a great lens to throw around in your backpack and take wherever you're going or to certain shoots you have booked. It's a great all-arounder. But for me, where I've really enjoyed using this lens has to do with using it in my YouTube content creation workflow, specifically around recording videos for this channel. This 23mm lens has become the go-to video lens for all the videos on this channel and my main channel. The 23mm focal length is just perfect. It's a full frame equivalent of like 35mm, and I film in my house. I don't have a huge studio space. So that focal length is kind of perfect. It allows me to position my camera about a couple feet away, gives me a couple feet of, you know, distance between me and my background. It's just a great lens to find different scenes when I'm filming in my house, which is not this, you know, massive space. It's a really versatile prime lens, and the focal length I find is great for YouTube. And when I'm shooting with this lens, I usually shoot wide open at f2. It's perfect for me. It allows me to keep my ISO right down at 160. It allows me to shut off all the lights in my house and just have some controlled lighting in the form of these, you know, LED panel lights that I use. It's just a really great lens. It latches on to me really well. It gives me great background separation. And I know with the autofocus, the X-H2S is probably the best focusing Fuji X series camera. But the lens plays a part in that as well. So I got to give it props where props are due. So there you have it, a review of the Fujifilm XF23 F2 from the perspective of a YouTuber who also takes photos. So let me know what you think. I know this isn't the newest lens, but I really wanted to make this review because I think for anyone who shoots on a Fujifilm X series body, this is definitely a lens you should consider getting, regardless of whether you're photocentric or a video-centric creator. Thanks for watching. Till next time, cheers.